I'm Laura. I work at Cavell, and part of my job is the working with side of Cavell, which is how you've been able to access this webinar today through the working with membership. I'm really excited to be working with Claire today. She's got a wonderful webinar all about self-care, which I think is something really important that we all need to kind of put at the top of our priority list at times. So Claire, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Claire Warner. I have worked in and around the charity and public sector for the whole of my working life, which is a very long time. For the last 8 years, my passion project has been well-being of people, the well-being of people working in these sectors. We attract people who want to give their all to their roles, and unfortunately regularly do give their all to their roles without being able to, or feeling able to, or knowing how to prioritize being able to look after themselves really well, and therefore not having to give their all, but what they do have to give always being kind of on as top form as is humanly possible. I've got a presentation for you today. I'm not going to ask you to share anything because I'm well aware that a lot of this topic is personal to you. When we get to the end, there's a pause for questions, but please, if you've got questions as we go along, ask them as we go along. Don't wait till the end because you'll have forgotten what the context was. So either raise your hand or come off mute and ask me. Also at the end, you will find there is a link and a QR code that will take you to a workbook, which is a very serious title for what it actually is. It's just a document to help you work through on your own the things that we've talked about today and to identify potentially where you might want to put some focus. I haven't done it yet, but I will also put the slides on that page as well. So if you go and visit that page and the slides aren't there, go back to it in half an hour or so's time and they will be there. I will add them as soon as we've finished. Does anybody have any questions before we start? Awesome. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so I guess the first thing that I want to talk to you about is what is self-care, because it's one of those phrases that conjures up many different ideas for different people. What I want to talk to you about today is self-care being anything that you do to take care of yourself so that you stay physically, mentally, and emotionally well. Why is self-care important? Well, self-care helps you manage stress, it helps you lower your risk of illness, and it helps increase your energy, and it helps you prioritize you in the general chaos of life. There are different types of self-care. The first one we're going to look at is physical self-care. So these are activities or actions that will help you either maintain or improve your physical health. So the first one is sleep, and I'm aware that for a lot of people sleep is a difficult topic and it's potentially a subjective topic. What is good sleep to you is very different for lots of people. In theory, in general terms, we should be looking to get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep a night. We do know that insufficient sleep can result in poor focus, reduced cognition, delayed reactions, mood swings, and a higher risk for either catching or not being able to shift illness. Now, I know I have family members, I have friends who a good night's sleep is 3 hours of sleep. I guess my point is, whatever a good night's sleep is for you, you need to try and prioritize it. And if you're not getting anywhere near that 7 to 9 hours, what is there you could do potentially with some of the other things we're going to talk about that might help you increase what your sleep rate currently is to something a bit more in line with I guess that generality. So yes, sleep is absolutely essential for us to try to remain healthy. The next one is around being active. So exercise or regular movement or activity. This improves brain health, it helps manage weight, reduces the risk of disease, it strengthens bones and muscles, it keeps us thinking, learning, and it keeps our judgment skills sharp, and it helps reduce the risk of depression and anxiety, and, go back to number one, it helps us sleep better. Now, I'm aware that many of us either have sedentary roles where we sit down all day, or we have the total opposite. We have roles where we're on our feet all day. So you need to work out for you, actually, is being active something that you're short of, or is being active something that you have an abundance of, and it's a different type of physical self-care that you need. I know in my role, it's very sedentary. I spend all day pretty much sitting in a chair at a computer. I've got very good at the last few years of regularly programming myself to get up and go and get a really big drink, go and have a bathroom break, go and have a walk around. I will always, even if I don't actually take the time to eat lunch, I will always go and walk around, stick my face outside in the fresh air, just because I've spent so long working in this area and being able to recognize and benefit from the benefits of doing these things. So what is there that you could do on a daily basis that would help you with your, either with being more active, or if you are active all day, where can you get those micro breaks where you can actually be less active? The next one is nutrition. So having regular balanced meals. Everything that's in our bodies and everything our bodies do uses up energy. It's not just needed for physical exercise and the physical parts of your day, but our brains also require energy to do the work they need to do, to solve problems, to make decisions. Hunger can cause loss of focus and concentration. It can cause a drop in energy levels. It can lead to shortness of temper and irritability. We have a family friend who's called Harriet, and she's now affectionately known as Hangriet, because we know, we can recognize when she's hungry. You can tell in her whole demeanor, the whole way she is. She does get hangry when she's hungry. We know when she needs food. But the thing is about hunger and about hydration that we're going to come on to in a minute, you actually need the fuel long before you feel the hunger. So you need to remember to keep yourself fueled. So here we go, hydration. Drinking between 1.5 and 2.5 litres of liquid a day, so between 6 and 8 glasses of water. So our bodies lose water through sweating, through urination, through breathing, and thirst doesn't occur until over 1% of our body water mass is lost. But at under that 1% loss, we're already experiencing reduced focus, reduced working memory, reduced concentration, and reduced mood. We also experience increased fatigue, anxiety, and depression. So simply being able to carry and remember to drink water with you all day, whether it's at a desk, whether you're carrying it around with you, water and our ability to keep drinking really helps way more than just at the point at which we feel thirst. We know that drinking water boosts energy, it flushes out toxins, and it supports healthy blood flow. These sound like very simple, very obvious things. The problem is, I don't know how often you've done it, but I know I certainly can spend an entire day working and not eat and not drink, and at the end of the day realize that I've gone beyond losing these cognitive things. I'm now hungry and I'm thirsty. We regularly forget the very simple basics, and they're the easiest ones to rectify. So that's hydration. The next one, I think, is an interesting one. I have given similar talks to this across hospitals, medical profession for a number of years, and we seem to be the worst, those of us in the profession, of actually going and seeking help when we really potentially should. When you work in an environment that's skewed of either ill health or people with health things going on, even if it's the maternity world, we always think that there are people who are in need of medical support or help more than us. We just need to make sure that we don't leave that too late for ourselves. It's really easy to compare ourselves to extreme cases or to the cases we see on a daily basis. And yet most of us know and recognize that prevention is way better than cure. What is it we can do to actually either acknowledge we're ill and allow ourselves to be ill, or go and seek help to help us get better from being ill? That's absolutely crucial in terms of our physical well-being. The next area of wellbeing is mental wellbeing, mental self-care. So activities or actions that help declutter your mind and reduce your stress levels. What I'd like to talk you through is this really interesting concept. There's a really great TED talk, and there is a link to it in the workbook, by an MD in America called Sandra Dalton Smith, and it's about the 7 types of rest. And the opening remark in that TED talk is, have you ever tried to fix your chronic lack of energy by getting more sleep, only to wake up still feeling exhausted? And what Sandra Dalton Smith hypothesizes and offers facts and figures around is that we don't acknowledge properly these different types of rest, and therefore we're often trying to address one with the wrong remedy. And so what we're going to go through now is what those 7 types of rest are. So the first one is physical rest. So this is the opposite of being active that we talked about early. So taking a break from the physical activities of your day. So when we rest physically, we give our muscles time to repair and recover, which helps us avoid injuries and reduce fatigue. Physical rest isn't just lying down or sitting. It can also be stretching, taking a nap. It could be getting a massage. It could be just taking short breaks. It could be going for a walk. If you stood still all day, just actually being able to shake out your limbs. But physical rest is one of those 7 types of rest. The second one is mental rest. So taking a break from the constant mental stimulation of the day. When we rest mentally, we give our brains time to recharge and to process information, which then helps us stay focused, productive, and alert. Mental rest can mean many different things to different people. It can be turning off your phone. It can be avoiding social media. It could be practicing meditation. It can also be some quiet time, taking a few deep breaths. I have a colleague who, mental rest to them, they go and take a shower. I don't know if you've ever noticed, there tends to be for each of us a place or a thing we do where the jumble of spaghetti in our minds loosens itself, and suddenly the answer we've been looking for, or we suddenly get clarity on something. Mine is going for a walk up the hill just behind my house. I have this colleague who takes a shower when they've got jumbly stuff that they just need to either get a rest from or work their way through. Go take a shower. What's yours? What's the place where you get that mental rest to either actually relax or relax enough that the thing you've been trying to think of, the thing you've been trying to resolve, actually comes to you? When might mental rest work for you? The next one is emotional rest. So taking a break from the emotional demands that we face every day. When we rest emotionally, we give ourselves time to process our feelings, which helps us manage and maintain emotional balance and avoid burnout. So emotional rest could include spending time alone. It could include avoiding unnecessary stressful situations. It could include talking to a trusted friend. It could include journaling. It could include spending time in nature. But where is it that you potentially might need to take a break from the emotional demands of your day? And what would that break look like for you? Sensory rest is the next one. So taking a break from the constant sensory input faced every day. When we rest our senses, we give our bodies time to recover from overstimulation that we can experience from being in permanently highly lit or low lit rooms, being in very noisy rooms, or being in exceptionally quiet rooms. All the things that we know can lead to sensory overload or overwhelm. Sensory rest, helping us recover from that. Well, that then helps us avoid sensory overload and reduces our stress. Now, sensory overload can include so many things depending on which sense you have been overloaded with. It can include turning off the TV, closing your eyes, spending time in a quiet room, taking a bath or a shower, listening to calming music. What is it that you potentially might need to take a break from? And what is the antithesis of that you can do to make sure you get that break? The next one is creative rest, for people who have creative demands placed on them daily. So when we rest creatively, again, we give our minds time to explore new ideas, which helps us stay inspired and helps us stay motivated. So creative rest can include taking a break from work and either finding something else to do or deliberately doing nothing. It can be about pursuing a hobby. It can be about engaging in a different creative activity, which is differently, is that even a word? It's a different type of creativity to the one that you may do on a daily basis. That could include cooking, painting, drawing, I don't know, writing, playing a musical instrument. It could be anything that allows you to use creativity or a different form of creativity to give you rest from the creative demands of your day, or deliberately doing nothing creative to give you that rest. The next one is social rest, taking a break from the social interactions we face every day. When we give ourselves social rest, we give ourselves time to recharge and maintain our emotional boundaries, which then helps us avoid social burnout and stay connected with the others we need to stay connected with. So social rest can include spending time alone, avoiding social situations, spending time with different people, spending time, with close family and friends. It could be going walking, it could be eating, it could be relaxing alone. You need to identify where is it in my life that I might need social rest, and how do I therefore obtain that? Is it a different group of people, or is it spending time on my own? Spiritual rest, so taking a break from the spiritual demands that you face every day. When we rest spiritually, we give ourselves time to connect with our inner selves. We can find meaning in our lives, which helps us stay grounded and fulfilled. Spiritual rest could include yoga, meditation, journaling, self-expression, volunteering for a cause you care about, time in nature. Where is it that spirituality, or something that you feel is spiritual, is either dominating your life and you need rest from it, or there's not enough of it, and getting some of that could help you get rest in other areas. There are other forms of mental self-care: reading, decluttering, watching something kind of that doesn't require a lot of focus on the television, or watching something that requires a huge focus that helps distract you from something else, taking a class, therapy or counselling, finding or taking up a hobby, practicing gratitude, increasing your self-awareness, prioritising joy. What's the thing that brings you total joy? How often do you get to do it? How could you get to do it more often? So that's mental self-care. The last one is emotional self-care. So nurturing your emotions, processing any frequent negative emotions to help decrease stress, to calm your nervous system, to cope with tough situations, and to help boost your mood. First part of this is about knowing your feelings, taking, I guess, your emotional temperature. So knowing, do your emotions bring up any physical sensations? Does an emotion that you experience have a temperature? Does it instigate a feeling or a physical reaction? Does it create feelings of opening up or of kind of closing down? Does it feel energizing, or does it feel energy draining? Now, I know personally, in terms of this knowing my feelings, I know that different feelings obviously make me feel different ones of these. It's interesting. I spend a lot of my day like this, seeing myself. You'll notice I've just sat up straight as I've said this, but I spend a lot of my day being able to see myself in a camera on a screen. And there'll be days when I see myself, usually towards the end of the day, and I'm aware that my shoulders and my ears are sitting on my shoulders, that I have got that I'm either tense or I am, but I see my shoulders lift. I also know that when I am stressed, there are certain things that physiologically happen to me. I get achy jaws because I clench my teeth. I also have a cognitive thing that starts to happen when lots of people experience the thing where there's a word that you want to use and you can't remember the word. Mine is different. I can almost see the word in my mind's eye sitting in my head, but something breaks somewhere between my brain and my mouth, and the word doesn't come out. Now, often I will experience that and the tension in my jaw before I'm aware that I'm stressed about something. But because I now know, because I've spent time looking for those indicators, I now recognize it and recognize that this is my body telling me I need to do something about this. And so before that stress actually completely takes over, I'm able to recognize it's coming and do something about it. So knowing your feelings, what is it that potentially you might not yet know about, but how could you start to identify some of those things for yourself? What does stress look like or feel like to you? I also know it's not very often. I will cry when I'm frustrated. I cry way more through frustration than I do through being upset about something. Again, often that what on earth am I crying about this for? It's ridiculous feeling, but is an indicator to me that I'm getting frustrated about something rather than that I'm upset about it. I'm absolutely acknowledge there are circumstances where I'm upset. That's totally different. But when I am on the verge of tears and I go, what is it? It's another indicator. What am I frustrated about that I haven't fully registered just how frustrated I am about it? Getting to know yourself and know what those indicators are for you can really help you in managing those feelings. The next one is about setting healthy emotional boundaries, emotional as well as physical boundaries. Because what we know is that healthy boundaries determine acceptable behavior of others around you and what you're going to do and how you're going to react if someone attempts to cross them. The best of boundaries are accompanied by expectations. So rather than just kind of building up a metaphorical wall, you tell people that you have this metaphorical wall. Things like, there are all kinds of things, but if I think about my role and my work, using an out of office when I'm out of office, or telling people I'm going to be on annual leave, or telling people I don't look at emails between 9 and midday. Therefore, I will, if you need me urgently, contact me this way. Otherwise, I'll get back to you after midday. But I deliberately don't look at emails between 9 and midday so that I can get some work done. I look at them beforehand, I look at them afterwards. If you have sent me an email, you'll get an out of office that says, I'll be back to you after midday. That's helping me hold my boundaries about not having my entire day knocked off by emails. I also will hold my own boundaries around peopling. I am an enormous introvert. I absolutely love spending time with people, but rather than it energizing my battery, it depletes my battery. I know that. So I'm really careful about what are the things I arrange to do, what are the expectations I set for myself around 5 days of peopling, and what am I going to be able to do on the 6th day. I'm really clear about. I know the impact this is going to have on me, and where I can, I will do something about it. I will make sure that I make Saturday morning, I have no responsibilities to anybody, or I don't have to do anything, or I haven't seen people in a really long time other than as faces on a screen, and I know I need to go and see people. Where is it that you might want to put some more boundaries around? Is it around hours? Is it around expectations? Is it what is it that some boundaries would really help you in? How could you build those boundaries? But also, who do those boundaries impact? And what expectations might you need to start setting for people that say, this is going to help me hold my boundaries? I have a full team of people who are responsible for monitoring our organisation's social media. And we regularly have discussions about how late into the evening should people have to do this? How late in what do we mean by this? And we put some really clear expectations, boundaries and expectations out there that say, if you send us your comment or your message between the hours of 8 and 8, we will respond to it. However, we won't respond to anything after 8 p.m. or before 8 a.m. It helps us hold those boundaries when we've told people about that expectation. Now, obviously, those are very particular to me, to my role, to my team. What are the boundaries and the expectations that are particular to you, to your role and your team? A really big one that many of us aren't very good at: say no. Saying no, not to everything, but the ability to say no, or not today, or not me, or any of the forms of no, is a really healthy part of setting boundaries. It helps give us a sense of empowerment while also actively helping you and preserving your relationships. There are many, many people who will say yes to things that they know they can't deliver, rather than saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't deliver that. Actually, the end result is very frequently the same. I don't deliver because I can't, because there's too much. I can't do that, or I can't do it today, or I can't do it in the format you want it. But the more we're able to say, I can't do that within that time frame, or I can't do that, whatever it is you might need to start saying no to. But you have to start. You can't say no if you're not used to it, is a really difficult thing. I'm used to saying no to my children all the time. I don't find it anything like as easy to say no to people at work, just because I don't want to be the person that says no. I want to be the person that says, yes, of course I can do that. However, it's helping me and them way more if I'm able to say no. Another thing that sweeping generalizations, tends to happen is that people who work in caring sectors also tend to take on a lot of responsibility outside of work. They might be on a school PTA, or they might be on a local committee, or they might be on. We tend to be the people who rock up and do outside of our own home lives and our work lives. And we just don't say no there either. We get known for being the person that says yes, so then we get more asks made of us. Your no needs to be polite, at least the first few times you tell that person. Potentially with an explanation, if you feel you need to give an explanation. It really shouldn't come with an apology. You can apologize for not being able to do something. You shouldn't apologize for saying no. No needs to become a healthier part of what we do and how we manage expectations on ourselves and expectations of others. So have a think about, where are the things that you simply can't say? What are the things you really can't say no to? What are the things that potentially you could? Not so that you immediately now need to go and get rid of them, but so that you know, if you get to the point where there is an overwhelm, what order would you choose to drop things, to gently put the plates down? If you use the spinning plates analogy, you've got two choices. You can either identify which plates you want to put down and put them down in a systematic way, or you can just wait till one drops and then see what happens. But the more you've got the choice around that, the more that you're able to cognitively think, I would rather have this choice than have the choice taken away from me. It's a really great place to start. So where would you choose? And what is the point going to be at which you know you need to start putting some of those plates down? So learning to say no is a huge part of self-care. Avoiding negative self-talk. So a lot of these build on each other because we are highly passionate about what we do, and we want to be seen as being good at what we do, as well as being actually good at what we do. We really don't say no, and then potentially put ourselves under additional stress, and then sometimes can end up not delivering, not because we can't do it, but because we've given ourselves too much to do, and that can then lead to negative self-talk. But negative self-talk isn't about us and our abilities, it's about the situations we've put ourselves in. So this is why this all builds. But negative self-talk is really bad for our self-care. It undermines our confidence and it hinders personal growth. We need to make sure that we're able to redirect that inner dialogue, where we might start to think about, or have those negative self-talk thoughts or things that occur to us, we need to unpick that. This isn't that I can't do it. This isn't that I'm bad. How many steps back do I need to take? Where is it that I can not get myself in this situation again? Where is it that I can emphasize my own strengths and achievements? Where is it I can remind myself that actually this isn't about my ability and this isn't about my anything to do with me other than there's just too much. Nobody could do this. How can you surround yourself with positive influences? How can you spread that around you and your colleagues? How can you make sure that you detach yourself from any of those self-deprecating thoughts? Being able to proactively stop yourself from doing that takes some work. It takes you reminding yourself you need to do it. But being able to foster that mindset of self-compassion, being able to acknowledge your worth, really helps create a positive internal narrative, which then also helps you build your well-being and build resilience. Now, like I said at the beginning, not all of these will apply to you. Some of them might apply to colleagues, but where is it that you potentially might need to do some of the positive self-talk rather than the negative self-talk? Next one is about finding your squad, finding the people who get you, get your role, get whatever it is that they need to get about you, and you would do the same about them. You're there for each other. Surrounding yourself with people who have that give and take, I'm there for you, you're there for me type of relationship is huge in terms of self-care. It helps provide you a sense of belonging and of validation. It also fosters really great emotional well-being, because these people, these connections can offer empathy, they can offer encouragement, they can offer a safe space for self-expression. In my case, they can also often offer good kick in the pants. Come on, get on with it. You know you can do it. It's not all about, it's about being that well-rounded whole thing where you know you're going to get the support you need at the point you need it. Regularly engaging with that squad contributes positively to your emotional resilience and overall mental health. Now, that squad might be people, colleagues at work, it might be colleagues from previous roles, it might be colleagues in the same sector as you. I've spent a long time working in the charity fundraising sector, and fundraising is a very well networked, potentially nepotistic sector. There are the charitable fundraising sector is really good at supporting each other, about sharing things, about, I've got many lifelong friends from work. My squad is mainly made up of those people. Most of them don't work in the organisation I'm in at the moment. They're people I have kind of picked up through my career. Finding that group of people, or building that group of people who understand what is it to work the way you work, what is it to face the challenges that you face, what is it to experience the highs that you experience, what is it to experience the lows you experience. So you don't have to explain that. You can just say, this happened today, or that happened, or I'm struggling with this, or this amazing thing happened. It takes no explanation. It's just a group of people who get you, who get it. Doesn't have to be a huge group. It could just be you and one other, you and two others. But building that network of people who fully understand what does life feel like for you is invaluable in helping you pick yourself up or celebrate with people. It's invaluable in working through your emotional well-being. Time with loved ones is also absolutely crucial. People who you love and people who love you. Positive interactions with friends and family helps release oxytocin, promotes feelings of happiness, reduces stress. Additionally, like we said about those squads, genuine connections offer a support system through challenging times. They help promote your emotional resilience. Being able to prioritize quality time with those you love enhances your overall well-being and creates a foundation of emotional strength. This doesn't mean that you need, if we imagine, you work 8 or 9 hours a day, that doesn't mean you now need to go and find 8 or 9 hours a day of time with loved ones. You just need to make sure you find some time with them. They act as your secret ingredients in a way. They act as your, what is it I know that greatly enhances my week if I'm able to fit it in, and that I know actually greatly disenhances, unenhances, worsens my week if I don't get it. The last one, which is kind of strange but very true, is laughter. Laughter, people who you enjoy being around and people who make you laugh, or things that make you laugh, deliver the holy trinity of self-care. It triggers the release of endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals, promoting an immediate uplift in your mood and a sense of relaxation. It serves as a natural stress reliever, reducing the levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, and it enhances cardiovascular health by improving blood flow and can even temporarily relieve pain through the release of those endorphins. Now, laughter is an interesting thing. I can't tell you now to laugh. I have to provide something funny for you to do. You need to know, who are those people? What are those opportunities for you to laugh? Many of us work in extremely serious environments. Where is there opportunity for fun? What is it that you're going to get some fun out of? Who are the people you need to be with, or what are the things you need to do? There are things that I know, if I sat there and went, I don't know when you would do this, if I sat there and went, I really haven't laughed in a long time, I know I need to laugh. There are a couple of things I know that are going to help me laugh. The first is, there's a YouTube clip of a man in a park in London, and he has a dog, and I can't remember whether the dog is called Benson or Fenton, it's something like that. And the dog basically chases a herd of deer across the park, and the man can't get his dog back. It doesn't sound at all funny when I'm telling it to you now. It's absolutely hilarious. I must have watched it at least 100 times. I still laugh uncontrollably while watching it. Potentially having a dog that also doesn't come back might add to the hilarity of that, but I find it very funny. There is a Michael McIntyre sketch about leaving the house before you have children and leaving the house after you have children. That will always make me laugh. The comedian Greg Davis, I just think, is the funniest man on earth. I thought the first time I saw him live, I was 8.5 months pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I thought I was going to go into labour in the Liverpool Philharmonic Hall where I was watching him, where I worked at the time. I was laughing that much. I thought that I was going to end up giving birth at the Philharmonic Hall. I know what I find funny. I can tell you the friends that I know are going to make me laugh when I need to. What do you find funny, and what's going to help make you laugh when you need to? Where could you go and find that? How do we bring all of this together to help focus it around you? Well, there are lots of exceptionally cheesy sayings associated with self-care. A lot of them are on this screen. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. If you don't take time for your wellness, you'll be forced to take time for your illness. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Taking care of yourself does not mean me first, it means me too. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. You can't pour from an empty vessel. They're fairly cheesy. They're also usually true. So the first thing is about acknowledging that all of these things are right. You can't pour from an empty vessel. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. We have to acknowledge that these things are true, and that self-care does play a really important part in our lives, in our work lives, in our home lives, in our lives in general. There we go. We need to know what your self-care ingredients are. These will be very different for you. So obviously I have put Greg Davis in there because he is, in my opinion, the funniest man in the world. I put The West Wing in there because it's my favourite television programme. I have watched it. I literally finish it and start watching it again. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I love it because I watch television to help me relax at the end of the day. I know what's coming next. I know what's going to happen. I just love the West Wing. It's in there for me. Work is in there for me. I absolutely love my work. Sleep, love my sleep. Eating with friends, getting out and getting exercise. I know very specifically what my self-care ingredients are because I've spent a very long time working it out. I also had quite good fun working them out, trying different types of things to work out which of these things were important to me, which worked for me and which didn't. What are your self-care ingredients? Also, knowing what your most likely saboteurs are. Now, interestingly, my saboteurs are also on my ingredients list. So my family regularly will try, and I will think that I'm not doing anything this weekend, and then I'll be told actually I'm driving a horse box somewhere or doing whatever it is. It's about knowing and anticipating where that might be too much. Work, again, is a saboteur for me. I love it. I can do way too much of it. I could work way more, and previously have worked way more than I do, and I've learned that actually doesn't have any benefits for me. And my inability to say no is another of my saboteurs. What are your saboteurs? It's not that I'm saying I'm not spending any time with my family. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not doing any work. It's knowing, where do I need to start applying some boundaries that we talked about earlier, and what might be the expectations that I need to put around them. I'm also a big believer, I've said it before, about identifying what your secret ingredient is. This is mine. We live in the middle of nowhere in Lancashire, and we have 2 horses. There is something about horses that is exceptionally peaceful. They are very, very understanding. I spend every morning, the first thing I do is I get up and go and sort the horses out before I do anything with the humans in my life. Starting my day with 5 minutes of just being with, this picture is me and Maddie. Maddie's 20 years old. She was our first horse. I appreciate it if you don't get horses, that's absolutely fine. If I don't, I spend 1 night a week away from home with work, and the morning that I get up and I'm away from home and I don't get that horse time feels very different than the days when I do. This is my secret ingredient. What's yours? You might not know it yet. Go find it, because again, it's not about replacing 8 hours of work with 8 hours with a horse. It really isn't. But that 5 minutes at the beginning of the day just really makes a big difference to me. And I know how weird that sounds. If you don't get horses, that's absolutely fine. Go find out what your secret ingredient is. We also need to acknowledge that better is better. Many of us working in sectors like ours are perfectionists. We want to see the ultimate version of everything. That also can say the same for us about our approach to self-care. We don't do it because we can't do it perfectly. Well, actually, with self-care, better is better. Even doing something, going and trying it, going and work out what works for you, improving something rather than getting to the ultimate level still helps. Better is still better, and we have to acknowledge that. The other thing we need to remember is that some days, I love this cartoon from this Decadus Doodles. Some days we have a big red floaty thing and it's a superhero cape, and it allows us to do all of the things we want to do. On other days, that big red floaty thing is the blanket under which we are going to take ourselves away from being a superhero, relax and look after ourselves. It's still the same person. That red cape has that red floaty thing has 2 functions, and we need to remember that. So we know that we don't have to stop. Self-care doesn't mean stopping doing the challenging things, stopping doing the big work, stopping doing any of the things that can cause us stress in our lives. But what it does do is it reminds us that at points we need to stop temporarily. We need to make sure that we are able to prioritize self-care and looking out for ourselves. There are 168 hours in a week. That's a lot of dots. And the first thing we need to do, and the thing we need to prioritize, is making sure that you keep at least one for you. That doesn't mean one for you for different responsibilities. It means one just for you. If you could protect an hour a week just for you, what would you do with it? And how will you start protecting that 1 hour a week just for you? That's my presentation webinar finished. I am absolutely more than happy to answer any questions or go back to anything. Does anybody have anything they want to ask or comment on, or anybody get anything at all? No. Okay, so there is I created, like I said at the beginning, created this workbook, and I will add the slides if you want them. The workbook simply just asks you questions to help you go through some of those things we've talked about, to help you identify for you which bit. Not all of them will work for you. You don't need all of them. Certainly don't need all of them. Don't need all of them in one go. But there might be a bit in there. I know I definitely found the 7 types of rest, the Sandra Dalton Smith thing. I found that really enlightening. Waking up exhausted isn't always about sleep. It can be about other types of rest. And so what might that be for you? That's what the workbook will help you with. You can either go to the URL or use the QR code and you can go and get that. Otherwise, I am happy to leave it there if people want to leave it there. I don't mind. Also, if you want to drop me an email, ask me any questions by email, that's also absolutely fine.
Thank you so much, Claire, for sharing all of those wonderful ideas. Definitely something that I'm going to be picking up kind of in my own life. I think before this, I used to think self-care was like I'd put an evening aside and light a few candles and have a nice little time to myself. But these are all kind of things we can do day to day that can just help keep us on top of everything and help us feeling as best as we can. So thank you for sharing this.
No worries. No worries. I've just seen a question that says, where can they access the slides? So they're not there yet. When we've finished, I will download them and I'll go and stick them on that web page so you can get them. So in about 15 minutes time, they will be there. They're just not there yet.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us today. For anyone working at any organisations where you know people couldn't join the webinar today for whatever reasons, this will also be available in a few days or a week on our Working with Members page that your trust will be able to access. You can share it far and wide for anyone that wasn't able to attend today.